Hey guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Zero, or welcome back to the channel for episode 2. Today we're going to be using Blueprint Soul Coded to finish up this.
You make my head spin. You make me feel so right.
Now in the previous video we used the loop tool, whereas in this one we will be using Blueprint Soul Coded's chord tool. If you want to know more about Blueprint Soul Coded, as with every single YouTube video, there is a link in the description and you can get all of the information there. But for now is now, and we're gonna get to it. And we're back on your favorite screen. Okay, so we're gonna be creating 3 different sections in this video. Of course, starting with the one that we just auditioned for you a second ago. But the reason why we're doing it in that order is because of how I've used the tool, and we're gonna get to that. But I just started with making some drums and then playing this little bass line with my bad bass playing. Right? Then what I wanted to do was add some chords that would contrast the vibe. So instead of energizing it, it would create a more subdued feeling. So I figured out what key I was in, figured out the chords, but now the issue is when it comes to my technical understanding of harmony, I'm not the king. I'm not Ellie Mary, I'm not Corey Henry or anyone like that, which is the general problem, right? It depends on how you were introduced to music, and later down the road you find out you have a shortfall. Your shortfall might be sound design, but you're great at composing. You might be great at composing and your shortfall is sound design or harmony or whatever the case may be, which is part of why we created Blueprint Soul Coded. And the reason we called it Soul Coded was exactly for that reason. Every single chord in this tool is voiced with the intention of it being warm and soulful. It's even played in, it's not plotted, it's played in to make sure that it has authentic soulful inflections. Soul Coded. So once I figured out, like I said, I figured out the scale that I was in and then figured out the chords, which is 6 and 1. Also, if you don't know, the blueprint comes with a manual, and on top of the cool theory tricks and tips and all that, it also has charts that plot out every scale. So, for example, I'm in the F sharp minor scale, right? And I'm sure you've seen in music theory books or when you tried theory and you were like, this is not for me. They used a lot of numbers or Roman numerals, right? So if you look at the F sharp minor scale, which is here, that's chord 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1, which is essentially F again, which is 8. So if you've ever heard them say like, oh, we're playing E minor 1, 4, 5, they are playing in the scale of E minor and playing chord 1, then chord 4, and then chord 5. Cool. So also what you'll notice if you look at the blueprint chord pack, so where are we? F sharp minor. There's those Roman numerals again, showing you in the F sharp minor scale, those are the 1s, those are the 3s, mixed bag, that's a mixed bag, that's for a whole other episode. And then those related to 4 and 2 and so on, but I think we'll stick to saving the theory for another time and we'll just focus on this for now. Right, so I knew that I was playing chord 6, which is D, and chord 1. So I went to D first, which is related to 4, and there's all the Ds. That sounds funny. I always say something that sounds very sus, but yes, there's all the Ds. Right, so let me actually duplicate this for you. And so we can build it out just the way I did there so you can see how easy it is, right? So as a companion, so I've already created, I've already prescribed what the chords should be and all that, and to pump it up and have it sound more soulful, I can use Blueprint Soul Coded chord tool for that. So as you've noticed, I'm sure if you look here, you'll see there's a whole bunch of D major 7s. That's also because we voice it all differently, to give you different starting points. That's all the same chord, so it's just dependent on you and your taste and which voicing suits what you're trying to do better at that point or where you'd like to start from. So we've tried to voice it as differently as possible, and you could probably find a different voicing of this chord in the other keys as well, but that's again a story for another day. So let's do it from scratch like I did here. So this is what I have, right? Like I said, I wanted to kind of not hype the song up. I wanted to create like this counter that kind of makes it more chill in a way, right? So that's the one I used. But let's use another one just to show you. That's not the MIDI. Just to show you how easily it is for you to create the vibe that you want to. So now we're going. And then I used one, which is the F sharp minor, right? So let's go for that one. So now we're playing the same chord. We're working within the same world. You know, I can even put the vocal on it. It'll all be perfectly in key, but the feeling is very different. That's where the voicings become so cool, right? So let's hear it.
You make my head spin.
Versus the original one that I went for.
You make my head spin.
That's how we got that. So it's really great as a companion tool to help you, you know, punch things up, or if you are struggling to find the an interesting voicing for a chord or whatever the case may be, just going in, coming to the chord tool and finding that chord and then playing around with the voicing. Sometimes it'll be the perfect fit, sometimes it'll be better, sometimes it'll be like 80% there and you just need to shift some things around. So when we play everything that we have now with the chords added to create that first section and then going into the next section, it sounds like this.
You make my head spin. You make me feel so right. You make my head spin. You make me feel so right.
Now let's move on to how I made that section. So we're back to create the other section. So the difference in approach we're going to take here is that we are basically going to do things the opposite way compositionally. So previously you saw I already had played guitar and stuff and I just needed the chords to pump up what I had done. Right now what we're going to do is start by using the chord tool to create the chord progression and select the chords, and then we're going to add all the other stuff. So essentially the approach is from the other angle. Right, so just to refresh your memory, it's so what we're going to do is we're going to rebuild this. Again, just to show you how I've done it and so that you can do it or don't feel like it's a daunting task. Just like when you create any other bridge or any other section, it's really just about establishing the first chord. Well, for me at least, creating the right mood when I shift from where I come from to where I'm going. That's how I kind of view it. Going from here to here is the feeling is what I focus on. You know, and I like that it doesn't go too far away from it, but it does feel like something's changed or opened up, and that's what I like to do with my bridges. I want it to feel like the song is opening up and going into another direction. And I honestly just kind of fooled around and kept doing this. That's actually pretty cool. I like that. So let's put that in. Let's put it in there, right? So this would now go from this. I'm actually interested in building this out. Let's see if we create a whole new thing. So we've gone to 3. Oh, A7 sounds interesting. Let's hear that. Anyway. We're changing the plan, guys. No. I went from the A to A sus. Okay. I think I... Let's actually... I can kind of hear where it's going to go to. So let's just build it. See. Oh no. Boom. I think it goes back to D, if I'm hearing correctly. Let's see. Or a version of that D at least. Let's go, let's shorten it. I literally just did that in real time for you guys. In real time. And that's really how easy it is to compose with the print. That's it. I'm just going to move on to the next section because I think I've proven my point, if I'm being honest. So this time we're going to hopefully, stick to the plan. No guarantees. This is essentially the second section that we're going to be creating, or that we created, right? This is very much the same as the first section. So after I had done that, I was like, oh, I want a guitar that's, kind of feels like that. Hence it's called spinning guitar, right? So we started with this. Of course, we had the drums already. And I added the bass. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then I used the blueprint tool the same way I used it in the companion sense to, flesh out the chords there. I used it here. Then I added some rhythm. I kept hearing the voices repeating, but in a more cut-up way. So we added the voices in. And I added other shit too. That's about it. It's really simple stuff. As always, we just like to keep it easy. The whole purpose of this is to show, and yeah, I'm surprised I haven't said it, the modularity of the chord pack, whether it is that you are using it to just help you out in a moment or for a single chord, or you are using it to compose the entire thing that you then want to decorate around. And yeah, I know, in terms of YouTube tradition, well, I couldn't even say that properly. In terms of YouTube tradition, I'm supposed to, play you this whole thing that's all tied together and then it's going to sound amazing. But life is unfair. So, it's a me.